Hey everyone, Drama here, back again with another episode of English Uncle. Today, we're talking about one of my favorite topics, travel. I love exploring new places, trying new foods, and of course, trying to speak the local language, sometimes with hilarious results. So grab your passport, because we're about to take a trip down memory lane with my travel stories. Ready? Let's go. So, let me start with my first big trip abroad, London. London, the land of red buses, the Queen, and of course, fish and chips. I was so excited, but also a little nervous. I mean, they speak English there, right? Easy. Also, I thought, turns out British English is a whole different ball game. The first day, I walked into a cafe and confidently ordered a coffee, please. The barista asked me if I wanted a flat white. Now, I had no idea what a flat white was. In my head, I was thinking flat. Does that mean it's just less coffee? Like flat soda? What's happening? But I didn't want to sound clueless, so I just nodded and said, yes, flat, please. Turns out, it's just a type of coffee, like a latte. Lesson learned, never pretend you know things when you don't. But the real fun started when I went sightseeing. I hopped on one of those iconic double-decker buses, sat on the top deck, and just admired the city. The Tower of London, Big Ben, Buckingham Palace, everything was amazing. But fun fact, Londoners speak fast. I mean, really fast. I asked someone for directions to Trafalgar Square, and all I heard was, blah blah, turn left, blah blah, mate. I nodded and smiled, but I had no idea what he said, so I just wandered around until I found it on my own. Pro tip: when in doubt, Google Maps is your best friend. Next stop, Paris. Paris. The city of love, croissants, and, well, French. I was super excited because I had always dreamed of visiting Paris. But as you might guess, my French is, how do I say this, non-existent. The only French words I knew were bonjour and baguette. Useful, but not enough to survive in a city. The moment I arrived, I decided to be brave and try speaking French. I walked into a bakery, smiled at the lady behind the counter, and said bonjour. She smiled back and then said something in super fast French. I panicked. My brain was like, abort mission. Retreat, retreat. But I didn't want to give up. So, I pointed at a croissant and said, croissant, please. She laughed, but she understood. Mission accomplished. But here's the thing about Paris. People appreciate it when you try to speak their language, even if you're not perfect. I tried using a few more French phrases throughout my trip, and people were surprisingly kind and helpful. Sure, I made mistakes. I probably sounded like a 5-year-old trying to speak. But hey, that's part of the fun. And every mistake was a learning experience. Like the time I accidentally asked for une pomme de terre when I wanted an apple. The lady at the market looked at me like, why does this guy want a raw potato? Oops. Let's fast forward to Tokyo. Now, Tokyo is a whole different world. If you've never been to Japan, let me tell you, it's amazing, super clean, high-tech, and the food, wow. But here's the catch. Not a lot of people speak English. And guess what? I didn't speak Japanese either. So, how did I survive? Well, thank goodness for Google Translate. I used that app like my life depended on it. My favorite story from Tokyo was when I tried to order ramen. I went into this little shop that had one of those vending machines where you pick your order. There were no English translations, just Japanese characters. I had no clue what I was pressing, so I just picked something random. When the bowl of ramen arrived, I was pleasantly surprised. It was delicious. I don't know what I ordered to this day, but it was one of the best meals I've ever had. Another fun experience in Tokyo was getting lost in translation literally. I was trying to find my hotel, but all the street signs were in Japanese, and I couldn't read them. I asked someone for directions, and they spoke to me in Japanese. I didn't understand a word, but the kindness in their face was clear. They even walked with me to help me find the way. Sometimes, communication goes beyond words. It's about understanding each other's intentions, and in that moment, I felt like I'd made a friend, even though we couldn't speak the same language. Okay, last stop on this journey, Mexico City. Now, this was a trip I'll never forget. I was excited to practice my Spanish because, unlike French and Japanese, I actually knew a few Spanish phrases. I mean, I wasn't fluent, but I could ask for direction and order food. My first challenge came when I wanted to buy street food. I walked up to a taco stand, ready to practice my Spanish. I said, "Un taco, por favor," feeling pretty proud of myself. But then the vendor started asking me all these questions, something about toppings, sauces, and who knows what else. I panicked and just said, "Si, to everything. I ended up with a taco covered in things I couldn't even identify. But you know what? It was delicious. Sometimes it's better not to know exactly what you're eating. I also tried bargaining at a market, which, let me tell you, is an art form in Mexico. I thought I was being smooth, saying things like "cuánto cuesta" and "es muy caro." But let's just say, I probably didn't get the best deal. Still, it was a fun experience, and I learned a lot about how language and culture go hand in hand. Looking back, every place I've been has taught me something new about language, culture, and how to communicate even when you don't speak the same language. Traveling is one of the best ways to practice English or any language because you're constantly challenged to interact with people in new and sometimes uncomfortable situations. But that's how you grow. Here's my advice. If you ever get the chance to travel, do it. It's the best classroom you'll ever have. And don't worry if you don't speak the language perfectly, just try your best, make mistakes, and laugh at yourself along the way. After all, that's how I learned, and now I have all these fun stories to share with you. Thanks for joining me on this trip around the world. If you liked hearing about my travel stories, don't forget to subscribe to English Uncle and give this video a thumbs up. And hey, why not share one of your own travel stories in the comments below? I'd love to hear about where you've been and what language challenges you've faced. Until next time, keep practicing, keep exploring, And remember, learning English is an adventure. See you soon.